Look at that. 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 That is freaking predator right there.
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you? This is just stupid. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. This is just stupid. Look at that. This is just stupid. Look at that. This is just stupid. Look at that. This is just stupid. Look at that.
Alex Jones is lying to you. That might come as a shock.
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. Corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace. He's
There's a story that I know that I heard from the David Pakman show. He brought some things to light, things that did seem out of sight. And now I take it where I go, whether it be to and fro. Every time I hear that theme song ring, it makes me wanna sing that catchy thing. It goes la 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 la. For a place to watch some news where people don't yell while wearing suits. I know of a guy who fits that bill, a progressive with political will. Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best in town.
Who's the current president of the United States?
Who's the current president? Well, I guess it's a funny question.
Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best in town.
Well, you tell me, I mean, is there a president right now, I guess?
Well, I'd rather not answer that. How's that?
Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show.
I've been growing this one huge pepper all summer. It's time to pluck it.
Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best in town.
the pirate's life, my lad.
If there is anything that needs to be satirized and remixed, it is Trump talking about massive dumps. And by the way, extra points, if you can sample Trump saying massive dumps and me talking about it in a song, please do it.
Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps. Dump, dump, dumps. Dumps. Dump.
Dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps. Dump, dump, dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
Dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Sure you just
Dump, dump, dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
dump. Big massive dumps.
Donald Trump insisted multiple times that it was massive dumps that led him to lose the election, which is just
On another level. On another level.
Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Sure you just
Dump, dump, dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
Dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Sir, you just
Dumps. Dumps.
dump. Big massive dump.
You turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea. Because you could have people are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once.
Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Sir, you just
Dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
Dumps.
What is going on here? What is going on here? It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost them the election. What is going on here? What is going on here? It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost them the election. What is going on here? What is
Dumps. Dumps.
massive dumps that
Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Toilets 10 times.
Dumps. Dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps.
multiple times.
Dumps.
Dumps.
Uh-oh. Mangoes?
My bag of mangoes.
Uh-oh. I love mangoes too.
9 cents. Okay. Now that we are up under a Biden's regime, my bag of mangoes now costs $11.99.
That seems like a pretty good deal. A bag of mangoes? Aren't mangoes like $3 each? That's it. I want what, $8 or $11. That sounds good.
The American people will lie. And highway robbery is what you're doing. Bring my mangoes back down. My bag of mangoes. My bag of mangoes.
Mangoes?
My bag of mangoes. Bring my mangoes back down. Raise the price of food.
Sure.
Raise the price of food. Raise the price of food. Bring my mangoes back down.
The Wisconsin crowd identified with the mangoes.
Disproportionately affected the American people. Those who want me to be healthy. Those who want me to be healthy. It's highway robbery is what you're doing. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of
Mangoes? Well, it's a very, very special day. One of the most anticipated debates of 2022. I still don't believe it's happening. I won't believe it until I see Herschel Walker on the stage, moving his mouth with audio-visual elements coming out, because it's just not really clear to me that he's really going to do this. And as many of you know, one of the most anticipated debates even before the abortion scandal, and now in particular because of the abortion scandal and questions about where does this race go, in extraordinarily anticipated. Herschel Walker versus incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock, starting in just about 20 minutes. And I love that people are so fired up. Look at these numbers. We already have Bully If the Great, Zmirko, Jiggy, Nasty Questions, Ace of Trace, who have signed up via Twitch Prime, as well as Faceplant Kagers, and also Daniel Beers, Eric Smith, Delana Bosworth, and Jason Sickmeyer, dumping in memberships through my website, putting us at 10. Ladies and gentlemen, just you wait for what we are about to see here. Now, before people get ahead of themselves and think that it's obviously over for Herschel Walker, take a look at this polling. Based on polls taken partially and completely after the breaking of the abortion scandal, Herschel Walker is only down by 3.3. Think about how disgusting a situation we have in this country, where you are a candidate who can't explain your position on any issue. You lie constantly. You're completely unintelligible. You run on being a religious conservative who is against abortion in all cases, urge a woman to have 2 abortions, and your polling dips a little bit and then recovers. It's what a country. What a country we have here. So this is going to be a very, very interesting debate to watch. We are looking at multiple streams, and we will get all of these streams tweaked and prepared for you as we get closer to 7 p.m. But it is going to be a hell of a debate if it happens, because there is still a chance that there will be an empty lectern. Remember, people call it a podium. It's not a podium. The podium is the platform on which they stand. The thing is the lectern. There may be an empty lectern, and we will continue correctly addressing it as a lectern. Okay, where to even start? Super chats are dumping in. Cody says, if a ping pong died in Albany, then why is gingivitis the leading cause of lost tuna fish and red SUV sales in 1974? Yeah, I mean, we may hear stuff like that at tonight's debate. Do I ever check out my Discord server? Interesting happenings. Yeah, occasionally I look at it, once a day, roughly. Hey, Gordy, says Philip Kessler. Man, I don't even know what that means. Wow. Big thank you to Kevin Gouldy for sending in 2 gifted subscriptions. I really appreciate that very, very much. Folks, this is a critical moment in this election, and I have an extraordinarily important announcement to make. As many of you know, we were banned from TikToks. We were supposedly banned because of COVID disinformation and election disinformation, when in fact we were debunking the misinformation. We appealed that. And as I posted earlier to Twitter, we were told, look at this. After further review, your account will remain permanently banned due to a violation of our adult nudity and sexual activities policy. Folks, there is porn all over TikTok in contravention of their policies. And we get banned for posting news analyses under the adult nudity policy? What are you talking about? At this point, I completely lost all hope. And then all of a sudden, the account's back. I have no idea why. I have no idea how. All of a sudden, the account is back. And it's probably at risk of getting banned again. Let me see if I got a new message here from... No, I don't. Okay. No message from... Completely inexplicable. It's just back. I don't know what to tell you guys. But it is what it is, and we are glad to be back, although it may be extraordinarily temporary. Other super chats coming in. David Sir, with tears in my eyes, asks Tara, I'm dying to know what you expect from tonight's debate. I am expecting, first of all, if the debate happens, I am expecting Herschel Walker to repeat a handful of talking points and not substantively answer any question. Bronx, do you believe Reagan's story of a local office that provided welfare that cost more to pay the government workers than it did to simply feed the impoverished people? Haven't heard it. Not familiar with that one. 1999, he weaves in a story about a bull. Oh, this person is betting that Herschel Walker tells the story about bulls and cows. Yeah, maybe he will. Mike Pillow threatened TikTok to sue their machines. Our hero.
We're doing a class action lawsuit against all machines.
The debate is just for the fans, right? In Warnock's backyard or whatever. Yeah, I don't, honestly, I have no clue what to expect from this debate. By the way, I know people are joking around saying, oh, grab the popcorn. I have popcorn, guys. And it is not just regular popcorn. I have spicy cheddar popcorn because this debate I'm expecting to be so good. Let's try it. Oh, that is spicier. That is spicier than I thought. Dear God, that is spicy. Okay. I might have to throw that out. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, if you check out your server once a day, then attest. What was a recent debate topic that plagued the server with over 4,000 comments? No idea. Was that the circumcision thing, maybe? I heard from the moderators that there was an explosive circumcision element. If you're going to get banned for adult content anyway, maybe it's time to start an OnlyFans. I know, right? David, if you was the bull, would you done jumped over the fence and then looked over and seen the bulls and said, "Oh, nah"? Yeah, I don't know. That I still don't really understand that story that Raphael Warnock tells. Other significant gifts coming in. Thanks to Thug Chuckles for the Twitch Prime subscription. Thanks to Bully Wife the Great for gifting 5. And thanks to Just Jamie and the Ramen Raider Guy for the Twitch Prime subscriptions, putting us at 20. Also, big thank you to Steve Anderson and Simon Reed for signing up at joinpacman.com, putting us at 22. If you're just coming in, you have missed nothing. The debate hasn't started yet. It starts soon. I'm expecting Herschel to perform a few steps down from Kelly Loeffler. I would say so. That is my expectation as well. Let's look at a couple clips that I had here for everybody. Let's see what we have. Okay, don't want to do the Tudor Dixon stuff. Not interested in the Carrie Lake stuff right now. Oh boy, Trump did not look good last night, huh? That's weird. Our friends, the Good Liars, with more of their interviews.
What gets you so excited about Donald Trump? You arrived. What are you excited
worked
about?
all night as a nurse in the ER.
Wow.
Working all this bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not real because it's bioterrorism.
And so,
and
are
I
you?
worked the
Are
front
you?
line in Jersey, New York, and Philly for the first 6 months of this bullshit.
What did you see?
All kinds of stuff. Lots of dead people.
Really?
But you know, we also saw crop dusters that didn't exist before.
You're saying this is like a bioterrorist thing with crop dusters.
I did not see the crop dusters before the pandemic started.
I noticed you have a Harry Potter shirt on.
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you like Harry Potter? Do you like fantasy?
I'm a Slytherin.
Oh, really?
That's my truck right there. I'm a Horcrux.
She's Slytherin. Dear God. Steve Bannon is now comparing MAGA to the victims of the Holocaust. There's a nice apt comparison, huh?
You're right to notice the slippery slope thing. And by the way, I just want to say, like, as always, I told you this day would come, right? I said, then they come for the children. Then they put people into ovens, right? Then they have the quarantine camps. So here we are. And not just in Canada, but in the United States, where the definition of murdering a child that has been born has gotten loosened in 2 states. They always start with life that you can make a rationale that, oh, yes, people are so impaired with kindness to do away with them. But then it's, of course, you know, whoever you don't like, Jews, dissidents, gypsies, homosexuals, political opponents, editors, journalists.
Folks. Hello. Now listen to
MAGA. Just a thought, a random concept. I mean, this is what's. I remember when you.
Yeah. Listen. Do people understand that there's a difference between discrimination against people for who they are versus saying these people have disgusting beliefs and so we don't want to associate with them, right? Saying, let's kill all the Jews because they are genetically Jewish is very different than saying, I find your opinions disgusting and I don't want you around me. Right? Do people understand the difference between those two things? Or is that just me? God, these people. It's horrifying. Horrifying stuff. Let's see what else we got here. New ad from Fetterman. All right, let's try. I'll bite.
After my stroke, I was just grateful to see Giselle and our kids. Across Pennsylvania, I keep seeing families that don't have enough time to focus on each other. They're struggling, left behind. We got to make it easier for people to spend time with those they love. Politicians spend so much time fighting about the things that don't matter. I'll always be focused on what does. Access to healthcare, lower costs, good jobs, more time with those we love. I'm John Fetterman, and I approve this message.
Pretty fine ad. I mean, I don't know. It's nice. I don't know that it's going to move the needle necessarily, but a nice ad. Can't go wrong with that, I guess. Let's see what else we have here. Kanye stuff. DeSantis. We're not doing DeSantis right now. See if I had anything else for everybody. Dr. Oz nonsense. Maybe I don't have that much else. Oh, a new Don Jr. segment.
Democrat policies have failed us so miserably that even the son of a billionaire from Manhattan can be pissed off when he's filling up his truck and going to the grocery store.
Right. Right. That seems genuine, doesn't it? That seems completely and totally genuine from Don Jr. Jeez. What a mess. Oh, this is the guy who claimed to spend $28 at Taco Bell as a sign of how much inflation there's been. And he's now being interviewed because a lot of people are like, $28 at Taco Bell. That's not making a lot of sense.
I know you posted a picture of your receipts to prove that it was indeed $28, right?
Yeah, I took the order that I did and basically put it in the app and took a screenshot to show everybody because that's what I typically order or thereabouts. And it adds up. I mean, what's funny about it is there's a couple things going on. One is people thought it was a lot of food. It's actually not that much. It's very expensive food. I'll give you that. There's a couple tacos on there that are pushing like almost $6. And secondarily, people are like, oh, it's 25, not 28. Big difference, number one. Number two, hello, sales tax in Chicago, about 10.25%. Bangs you out at about 27.
It banged him out there. Okay, let's see what they have here. What do we have? Tacos. Soft taco, $1.69. Soft taco supreme. Man, it's been like 25 years since I've been to a Taco Bell. Crunchy taco supreme. Nacho cheese Doritos. Jeez. This isn't seeming great. I'm not going to lie. Combos. My cravings box. Mexican pizza combo. Jesus. Is this even legal? Crunch Wrap Supreme. Wait, so what is all this Dorito stuff? Does that mean that the shells are basically Dorito chips? Is that what that is? Is that what that means? Oh my God. So it's basically they're using potato chips as the taco shells. That is shocking. That is criminal. Burrito. Bean burrito. Double steak. This is pretty freaking bad. Wow. All right. Well, anyway, $28, I guess you could spend there. Seemingly, it's dystopian. It's quite frankly, it is dystopian. Thanks to Jason Sickmeyer and Thomas Tosh for gifting 2 subscriptions on my website. Thanks to William Tresillo and Sarah Walsworth for signing up as well. That's 4 new subscribers, putting us at 26. Also, really appreciate over on Twitch, Guitar Goddess and Bilbro Swaggins. For the Twitch Prime subscriptions. Folks, if you're just joining us, we are moments away from this debate. I have only one request of you. This is like the 6th debate we are streaming, and we've got like 10 more coming up just in what's left of this election season. We really do depend on our audience for what we do. Get a membership on my website, okay? Look at how easy this nonsense is. This is so easy to do. You go to joinpacman.com. You can do monthly, you can do yearly. You hit sign up. You then can enter a coupon code if you want. Here's a sample coupon code. See where it says above my head, Big Voting 22? Big Voting 22. You type it in, you get a criminal discount. If you want an even better discount, you use the coupon code OBAMNA.
Obama.
Look at this. Folks, look at this. And you can also do monthly. Every single person that signs up, I will eat one of my kernels of spicy popcorn and I will say your name. Okay? It's such a special day. It's powerful. It's important. It's beautiful. Okay? And I will spend $28 at Taco Bell. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know. People are saying order some Doritos tacos. Oh, wait a second. I also think I have. Hold on. Did I have a?
We have to keep our country gay, but it's not. I mean.
No, hold on. I thought I had a thing about my discounts.
I enjoy your little machine sarcasm.
Oh God, I don't have it. I can't find it. All right, yeah, I'll order a 1 Crunch Wrap Supreme for every new membership. No, I'm kidding about that. That I'm very, very much kidding about. Okay, Let's look at a few other super chats here. Sir, did you thought over my Trump calling rally media fake news, Newsmax not broadcasting theory from yesterday? Greetings again. I apologize, MH. I did not, but I will. Thanks to SJD. Will Herschel Walker lay out the details of his plan to create a department that monitors young men watching women watching social media? Yeah, you guys want to see that clip? That's a hell of a clip. Let me see if I can find that here. Herschel Walker Manu Raju. Let's see if we can find that. No. Social media. Here it is.
Person wielding that weapon, you know, Cain killed Abel, you know, and that's the problem that we have. And I said, what we need to do is look into how we can stop those things. You know, he talked about doing a disinformation. What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women that's looking at just social media?
Right. We need a department. By the way, small government, right? An entire department that will just look at young men, looking at young women, looking at social media. That's crazy. That's big government, not small government. Okay, bring my tacos back down. Don't raise the price of tacos. I agree. David, sir, how can you claim Walker isn't a family man? He started at least 9 families. That screams honesty and family values. Well said. Yeah, well said. Tomorrow's headline, Senator Warnock embarrasses Herschel Walker on debate stage. Polls unchanged. Basically, that's more or less what I'm expecting. It's really sad, but unfortunately, it's sort of what I'm expecting. Did you hear about the Fox News financial advisor that blamed inflation for why the Taco Bell lunch was $28? Yes, we just played that clip. We were just looking at that clip. Let's listen to a little more of his explanation.
And 46, I think. So it's all there.
So were you surprised at how much love you got? I'm going to play a side. People out there, you did get some love. Take a listen.
The dude said he ate $28 worth of Taco Bell. We ain't heard from him since. You can't eat $28 worth of Taco Bell on a work day. I bet he called in today to Fox Business. You can't do a live hit with $28 of Taco Bell in your stomach like that, man. Somebody check on that man. Like you got to, what they call it, a wellness check? You got to do a wellness check. Like when you ain't heard from your loved one in a while, the police got to roll by. I bet the police go by the house right now.
I laughed. I was laughing.
That's like the Tucker laugh, right? See if we can find that. Hold on.
So Kamala Harris is a charmless phony who has such total and utter contempt for your intelligence that she fully expects you to believe that her fake laugh is real. And that's bad.
But
I'm
think
so
of what
glad
Alex could do with that material. I mean,
it would be amazing for cable news. Dana Prida, thank you.
It's now diversity that's the face of militarism.
I just love that. Oh, in case you haven't noticed, it's like boarded up. So, that's more my concern. But I appreciate your coming. There's nothing you can do about it. So shut up. So Kamala Harris is a charmless phony who.
Oh man. Anyway, I can't do it any longer. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. It's crazy. Okay, folks, something is happening on our website where the website is barely keeping up with everybody who's signing up. Hunter White, Jason Sickmeyer, Leslie Maley, Mary Carmen Garcia, Alora Smith, Tommy Horseswill, Jennifer Stewart and Brad Bronstein, Christopher Mund and Holly Butcher, Jennifer Wallner, Hans Linesh, Scott McKinnon, Jacqueline Asansi, Jose Ortiz, Howard Love, Deborah Sanchez, Matt Belmore, oh my God, Donna Williams, Grace McElroy, and John Turcott have all, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 memberships dumping in, immediately putting us at 49. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. As we just have moments left until this debate, let's see if we can just squeeze in a voicemail.
But, I'm really thankful for, couples who, try to make, a valuable effort to stay connected and, to achieve that, look of, I can't remember what's it called.
Okay. Here is the Eggman.
Dennis Prager's sister is totally hot. Shalom.
Wow. The Eggman really, really diving in there with a lot. That's a lot from the Eggman. And let's see what else I have here.
Hi, David. I have a thought question that has been rolling around in my brain for a while. I'm just wondering if Marjorie Taylor Greene could be our first female president.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? The first female president might actually be a right-wing nut. And we've talked about this before, and it is sad. It is very, very sad. We are moments away from the start of this debate. What else can I squeeze in here before we start? Really not much. I'll thank a couple other people. Thanks to Deborah Henn, Ingrid Ori, John Lobedek, and Calvin Martin for signing up on my website. I really do appreciate that, putting us at 53. The ticker will continue to climb. If you're just joining us, we've been covering so many of these debates. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you're following us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed because we've got more debates coming. We've got the Ron DeSantis debate. We've got, there are just so many debates as we stand by for this debate. And as soon as we know exactly where we will be watching it, I will get us a beautiful full screen video. So don't worry about that. We are going to see it. However, if the debate doesn't start in the next couple of minutes, I will start to wonder whether Raphael Warnock maybe just didn't show up, which was a concern. There are, until I see him on the stage, I'm not going to be convinced that he's actually showing up. And I hope that I am very, very much wrong about that. I hope that he's here. I hope he debates. I hope he participates. I hope he substantively answers questions. Thanks to Andre Bavaria and Betazoid for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. Jeff in Boston also just gifted 5 subscriptions on Twitch, which I very much appreciate. Thanks also to Martina and Brian Newberry and Teresa Deller, who just signed up on my website. The debate expected to run 1 hour, 1 hour and 1 hour only. We will see where it starts first. I am hopeful that we are not going to see Raphael Warnock alone standing at an empty, standing next to an empty lectern. People saying, is this really happening? It appears to really be happening. It appears to really be happening. But again, where are the candidates? It was supposed to have started a minute ago, and I am not seeing it.
I'd rather spend that extra $30 on food and diapers. And
you gotta eat, so you have to pay for it.
Where's that coming
Inflation, abortion, gun violence, and healthcare.
Okay, here we go.
Two candidates with 2 different visions for your future.
Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock is
Here we go. I'm going to get this set up for us, okay, guys?
The people of Georgia have a real choice.
Give me a second.
About who they think is ready to represent them.
Vying for your vote, the first black senator to represent the state of Georgia, Democrat Raphael Warnock.
You send me back to the Senate. You have my word. I will keep fighting.
Working
We
to
good?
defeat him, businessman and Heisman Trophy winner, Republican Herschel Walker.
There's no doubt we have problems in this country.
Who do you trust in Washington? Every word these men
It sort of seems like it's happening, guys. Wow. Welcome, everybody.
Riverside District in Savannah, this is the Georgia U.S. Senate debate.
Welcome to Debate Night in America. I'm your host, Leland Vittert from News Nation. In 2020,
I've been on Fox News. I've been interviewed by this guy, Leland Vittert.
Senate, and it might well again. The stakes could not be higher. Tina Tyus Shaw, anchor at WSAV here in Savannah, and Buck Lanford, anchor at Fox 5 in Atlanta, will moderate tonight's debate.
I'm going to switch to this, guys.
Fox 5 in Atlanta will moderate tonight's
This is
debate.
better.
We are joined by a live studio audience. They have agreed to hold their cheers and applause
Give me 1 minute to get it
until the
fixed.
end of tonight's debate. We also welcome our viewers across the country watching on News Nation, and voters here in Georgia joining us on 5 Nexstar stations and several partner stations across the region. Before we get started with tonight's topics, the rules.
Here we go.
Senator Warnock, Mr. Walker, You will each have 60 seconds for opening statements and 60 seconds to answer each question. If there's a follow-up or rebuttal, you will have 30 seconds. When time's up, you'll hear this bell. Each candidate will also have 60 seconds for a closing statement. And with that, it is time to get underway. Tina and Buck, the floor is yours.
Leland, thank you very much. Senator Warnock, Mr. Walker, good evening to you both. We appreciate you being here.
It's
and we
happening.
look forward to hearing from you both tonight. And for those of you at home that are following along, we'd like for you to use the hashtag GASEN debate. Once again, it's hashtag GASEN debate.
Good to see you as well, gentlemen. We began tonight with opening statements. A card draw determined who will go first. Mr. Walker, we will begin with you. You have 60 seconds.
First, I'd like to acknowledge my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm one of 7 kids, born and raised in Wrightsville, Georgia. My parents taught me about faith, family, education, and the love of country. They also taught me about a good work ethic. And because of that, I found the American's dream. But this race ain't about me. It's about what Raphael Warnock and Joe Biden had done to you and your family. Tonight, he's going to try to sweet talk you that he's doing a good job, but his record speaks for itself. I'm here to tell you that they've raised your taxes, gave you high inflation. They even put men and women's sports. And I want to let you know that Raphael Warnock, we give him 6 more years, think what he's going to do. So I'm here to fix it.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Senator Warnock, we turn now to you for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you so very much. And hello, Georgia. It's so wonderful to be back here in my hometown. Now, I know that we're in a debate tonight, but really I come with a deep heart filled with gratitude, probably because I grew up about a mile from here in the Caton Homes housing projects. I'm one of 12 children in my family. Clearly, my preacher parents read the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. When I think about the arc of my life, the short distance and the long distance from there to here, I know that only in America is my story possible. My family taught me the importance of hard work and how to build the beloved community that Dr. King used to talk about, and I brought that spirit to the Senate. At the end of the day, this race is about who's ready to represent Georgia in the U.S. Senate. I think that choice is clear, and I look forward to having that discussion tonight.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to this hour. So we will start tonight with the most important issues facing Georgia voters.
Our next star, Emerson College The Hill poll shows the economy, threats to democracy, and abortion access are the top 3 issues. We're going to begin tonight with the economy. Everyday Georgians are struggling. They're struggling to pay for food, gas, child care, housing. This week, the inflation rate continues to rise. Mr. Walker, we're going to start with you. You've been openly critical, blaming President Biden and the Democrats for inflation and for the economy. If elected, what is one idea that you would champion to reduce inflation? We ask you to be specific. You have 60 seconds.
Specific.
Well, first of all, you have to blame this administration and Senator Warnock because within 2 years, this inflation has gotten worse. They cut our energy independence. They also raised taxes. And at the same time, they reckless spending all our money. So he would sit here tonight and say that he's doing a good job for us. And you ask me, what is one job I would do to help the inflation?
One idea.
First of all, we got to become independent, energy independent again. And the reason why, we're going to our enemies to ask for gas and oil.
No, we're not.
And that puts us not just in an inflation problem, but it puts us in a national security problem. And I think that's something that I think Senator Warnock need to realize. And he mentioned that he grew up here in Savannah with 12 siblings. Well, in this area, most people live paycheck to paycheck. And when you have inflation the way he's brought inflation on, how in the world can you buy grocery or gas for your family?
A follow-up question to that, Mr. Walker. Most economists say that cutting government spending is the first step in economic recovery. I would want to ask you, would you consider cutting military funding or spending on social services to accomplish this goal? And you have 30 seconds.
I would not think about cutting military spending because first, I believe in peace through strength. Right now, we're at a brink of war. And I think right now with Senator Warnock, who he and Joe Biden, they don't show any strength. And we have to protect this country. And I said it early on, right now, because we're giving our energy up to our enemies that don't like us, we have to be ready for war.
Oh my
this is
God.
not.
He first said we were getting energy from our enemies. Now he's saying we're giving energy to our enemies. Which is it?
Biden has taken office, inflation has reached levels that we haven't seen in 40 years. You've supported nearly every piece of legislation that this administration has pushed through Congress. Do you take any responsibility for the financial hardships currently that Georgians are facing? And you have 60 seconds.
There's no question that people are feeling pain at the grocery store, at the pump, at pharmacy counters. And while we are paying record prices, a lot of our corporate actors are seeing record profits in the oil and gas industry and the pharmaceutical industry, which is why I've stood up for ordinary, hardworking Georgia families time and time again. I passed the single largest tax cut, contrary to what my opponent is suggesting, for middle and working class families in American history. And we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which had two of my provisions. One, caps the cost of prescription drugs for seniors so they don't have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And one caps the cost of insulin. He said he would not have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, and I think he should tell the people of Georgia why he thinks they should have expensive insulin and why the pharmaceutical companies should be able to charge us whatever they like.
Well, first of all, may I respond? I believe in reducing insulin, but at the same time, you got to eat right, because he may not know, and I know many people that's on insulin, and unless you have eating right, insulin is doing you no good. So you have to get food prices down, and you got to get gas down so they can go get insulin. And you continue to pat yourself on the back, but right now, families are starving.
He's arguing that the price of insulin doesn't matter because the price of gas is high, so when you drive to the insulin, it's expensive.
Senator Warnock, I'll give you an opportunity for a
rebuttal.
rebuttal.
Listen, I meet people all the time in my church who are trying to manage their diabetes. I've been there when they've gotten the news that they've got to get an amputation. And I think we're hearing from my opponent tonight that it's their fault that prices of insulin are being gouged. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the fault of these pharmaceutical companies. Insulin's been around 100 years. The patent was sold for $1. They're engaged in price gouging, and too many people in Washington think they work for the pharmaceutical companies. I work for the people of Georgia.
Well, he's in Washington.
Can I finish? I work for the people of Georgia.
Yeah, well, you're in Washington.
And that's why I stand up for them every single
Washington,
day.
And you're the leader.
Mr. Walker, let's move forward if we can. A follow-up question to you, Senator, in 30 seconds. Georgians need help right now. In your opinion, is the answer another stimulus check, or is there a better option out there to deal with this right now?
We passed the Inflation Reduction Act. He's already told you he would vote against it.
It didn't reduce inflation.
He's already told you that he doesn't believe in capping the costs of prescription drugs for people like my 84-year-old mother.
No,
I don't think they should. I don't think she should have to choose.
Let's let him talk.
Yes.
You'll get a second.
I don't think she should have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And that's why I've stood up for her, and I've stood up for hardworking families every single day, and I've stood against the corporations that are being bad actors. They're seeing record profits in the middle of a pandemic. And who exploits a pandemic?
Gentlemen, we need to move on to our next topic in the interest of time. So that's election integrity. Tina, it's all yours.
All right, Buck, thank you. Senator Warnock, this question is for you. You have said the new Georgia voting laws implemented after the 2020 election create many obstacles for underserved communities. Yet there was record turnout in Georgia in the primary this May. According to research done by the Brennan Center for Justice, the African American vote grew approximately 50% from 2018 to 2022's primaries. Senator, can you explain how the law negatively impacts minority votes? You have 60 seconds, sir.
So I have spent my whole career long before coming to the Senate fighting for voting rights, because I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we desire for ourselves and for our children. We register people to vote in my church. And in the Senate, I've stood up for democracy because that's the framework in which we get to fight for all of the things we care about. There is no question that SB 202 makes voting harder, and that is the intent. And the fact that many of our voters are overcoming this hardship doesn't undermine that reality. They've made it harder for folks to use the drop boxes. They've shortened the registration times. Folks are saying, you shouldn't have to, you should be able to get food or water in a line. I think the question is more fundamental than that. Why are the lines so long in certain communities and not others? And so I just want to encourage Georgia voters to keep showing up. Don't let anybody take your voice. Don't let anybody take your vote. It took too much to get here, and I'm honored to represent you in the United States Senate.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, we move to you now. In 2020, Georgia became the epicenter for questions on voter fraud. We'd like to hear your thoughts in 60 seconds. Did President Biden defeat former President Donald Trump in 2020? Again, sir, you have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, I need to mention that he said that SB 202, really it made it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And she mentioned that more people turned out for the primary. So you gotten good at in Washington not answering that question, because that was the question she asked you. And did President Biden win? President Biden won, and Senator Warnock won. That's the reason I decided to run. Because we need a change in Washington. We need leaders that's going to stand up to foreign leaders. We need people that's going to stand up for people in Georgia. Because Senator Warnock, he went to Washington, but he forgot about Georgia. And I want to stand for the people of Georgia. He just mentioned he's standing for the people of Georgia, but can he tell me why he voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time if he was standing for Georgia? That tells you that he's for Joe Biden, I'm for Georgia.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Now, before we move on, gentlemen.
I'd like to respond to that.
I will give you that opportunity, sir. I will give you that opportunity, Senator. You have 15 seconds to respond.
It is very clear that my opponent would rather be running against anybody except me. But either me, there are only two people who are going to sit in this seat, either me or my opponent. And I think this race is about who's ready to represent the people of Georgia, and I'm thinking about them every single day.
But if he cut from the same cloth at 96% of the time, I'm running he and Joe Biden because they're the same.
Oh, my God.
Gentlemen, we are moving on now. This next question, this is a yes or no response, and this is for both of you, Senator Warnock. Yes or no, regardless of who wins in November, will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker, regardless of who wins in November, will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Buck, over to you.
Thank you, Tina. We turn now to the topic of abortion. We're going to start with you, Mr. Walker. A week before this debate, a former girlfriend made public accusations saying you paid for an abortion and that you encouraged her to have another. In an ABC News interview this week, you said that the accusations are, quote, all lies. For the voters watching tonight, can you explain the circumstances surrounding these claims? You have 60 seconds.
Well, as I said, that's a lie. And, most thing I put it in a book. One thing about my life is I've been very transparent.
Right.
Not like the senator. He's hid things.
He's lying.
At the same time, I said that's a lie. And on abortion, I'm a Christian. I believe in life. And I tell people this, Georgia is a state that respects life, and I'll be a senator that protects life. And I said that was a lie, and I'm not backing down. And we have Senator Warnock, people that would do anything and say anything for this seat, but I'm not going to back down.
What a
this
liar.
seat is too important to the Georgia people for me to back down right now.
What a liar.
You've been vocally pro-life, supporting a ban on abortions without exceptions. Would you support a complete ban on a national level?
Well, first of all, see, that's not true either. I said I support the heartbeat bill. And I say I support the Georgia heartbeat bill because that's the bill of the people from Governor Kemp. And I said that has exceptions in it. I said I'm a Christian, but I'm also representing the people of Georgia, and that's who I represent. So what the people of Georgia stand for, I'm going to stand with them.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you've said repeatedly that the exam room is too small for the patient, her doctor, and the U.S.
How do you not follow up and go, but she's the mother of one of your kids? You acknowledge that part, right? And so you know her. And
you have 60 seconds.
I think that the women of this country and the women of this state woke up one summer morning and a core protection that they've known for 50 years was taken from them by an extremist Supreme Court. And I stand where I've said I stand in the past, that a patient's room is too narrow and small and cramped a space for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government. We are witnessing right now what happens when politicians, most of them men, pile into patients' rooms. You get what you're seeing right now. And the women of Georgia deserves a senator who will stand with them. I trust women more than I trust politicians.
May I respond?
Very quickly, Mr. Walker.
Hey, you know, it is, and I heard about him. That I heard he was a neat talker, but did he not mention that there was a baby in that room as well? And also, did he not mention that he asking the taxpayer to pay for it? So he's bringing the government back into the room. So he's not talking about that.
There's no taxpayer
when he mentioned that, it's like I've not seen too many pastors that would say that statement.
Mr. Warnock, I'll give you a chance to rebut.
I am a pastor. I'm a man of faith. And I have a profound reverence for life and a deep respect for choice. And because I have such a profound reverence for life, it's one of the reasons why I've stood up to address this issue of maternal mortality in our country. We lead all of the Western nations on that front, and black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die even when they have the insurance and the income. Now, that's something government could actually do something about. And I joined with Marco Rubio of Florida to pass a bill to address maternal mortality. The women of Georgia have a clear choice as we're watching women die. Do you want a senator who wants to control your life, or do you want a senator who wants to save your life? Well, I want to save your life.
Well, what's funny, man, I have to respond to this.
Very quick.
Because he told me Black Lives Matter. And if you think about it, Senator, in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more black baby that is aborted than anything. So if Black Lives Matter, why are you not protecting those babies? And instead of aborting those babies, why are you not baptizing those babies?
Mr. Warnock, or Senator Warnock, will give you a chance to respond to that.
I think the women of Georgia have a clear choice. He says no exceptions, even in the case of rape, incest, or the life of the mother. I think that's extreme, is out of touch with Georgia, and I intend to do the work that senators can do.
See, he didn't read the heartbeat bill, though. Wait, he didn't read the heartbeat bill that there is exceptions for that in the heartbeat bill. So when he made a statement that is untrue, and I do respect that, Senator, you have to read that bill.
A follow-up question for you, Senator Warnock. We asked that you take a listen to something that you said at a rally just a couple of weeks ago.
So women, I trust women in their wisdom and their ability to sit with their own doctor. That's right. And if they choose, to sit with their pastor. And to pray about that and let their own conscience guide them. Even God gave us a choice. That's right.
Even God gave us a choice. Can you clarify what you meant by that? You have 30 seconds.
Oh, I think it's self-explanatory. God gave us a choice. And I respect the right of women to make a decision. These are medical decisions. They are deeply personal. Women find themselves in a range of circumstances. And this issue has been far too politicized. And we're witnessing right now the chaos that ensues as a result of that. And women right now who may be facing a miscarriage in some cases are wondering what will happen and how will they have to explain that. I think that's deeply problematic. There are enough politicians piling into the rooms of patients, and I don't plan to join them.
But just to clarify, in your opinion, God gave us a choice in regards to abortion.
It is apparent that God has given us a range of choices, and the people of Georgia have a choice right now about who they think should represent them in the Senate.
And may I have to respond?
Mr. Walker, we do have to move on to our next topic.
This will be very short, because he's correct. God gave us a choice. But also within the Bible, if you read the Bible more, God said choose life. In the Bible, it says, I give you a choice, just like Adam and Eve had a choice, but they chose death.
Very quick, Mr. Walker, we need to move forward.
I think he wants to arrogate to politicians more power than God has.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We're going to have to move on to our next topic, okay? Tina?
Okay.
What a disaster.
We are moving on, gentlemen, on the next topic, and it is about student loans. We turn to Christian Dent, a college student and Nexstar News Nation viewer from Locust Grove, Georgia.
As a college student at the University of Georgia, me and my peers are often faced with confronting the rising costs that come with obtaining a college degree. In the United States Senate, will you support further forgiveness of student loan debt? And if so, how will you implement it in the United States Senate on a federal level?
Our thanks to Christian for that question. Senator Warnock, your answer, please, in 60 seconds.
I wouldn't be standing here tonight if it weren't for low-interest student loans and Pell Grants. And in the years since I've graduated, that path has gotten harder. I ran into a couple on a flight, and they wrote a note for me. They were with their one-year-old son. They said, whatever you do, please do something about this student debt. The mother said, I borrowed $35,000. I paid back $20,000. I still owe $30,000. And that's why I pushed the president to do student debt relief. He did $10,000, and with my urging, he did $20,000 for folks with Pell Grants. I think it was the right move. It will spur entrepreneurship, home ownership. It helps kids in technical schools and vocational schools, not just four-year colleges. But we need reform. We shouldn't be doing this again 10 years from now. And I'm working right now on the kind of reform we need because college is outpacing the price of everything else in our economy.
A follow-up for you, sir. Why do you believe this should be done through executive action instead of Congress? And also, how would this be funded? You have 30 seconds.
The president has already moved to do student debt relief. And there's additional relief for folks like me who, when they got student loans, were Pell Grant eligible. But there's no question we need reform in the system so that we can get the cost of college underway. We don't find ourselves here again. And that's my position. Thank you.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, to repeat Christian's question, will you support further forgiveness of student loan debt? And if so, how would you implement it?
Well, first of all, you can see that—
60 seconds, sir. I apologize.
Yes, first of all, you can see that Senator Warnock has gotten good at being in Washington because you asked the question, why did Congress not do it instead of the president doing an executive order, which is what should have been done. And as I was traveling around the state of Georgia, I talked to people. Some people that wanted to go to college, they couldn't. So they ended up going and working on father's farm.
Okay.
Some military wanted to go to college, they didn't. So he went to the military, may have lost an arm. So this is not right. Georgia people say it's not right. They said it's unfair. First of all, how can you transfer someone debt who owe it to someone that don't owe it? And also, Senator Warnock brags about making $400 billion that now the taxpayer, all you in the audience, got to pay for. You got to pay that debt. And I didn't co-sign for anyone's loan. I hope no one out here co-signed for anyone's loan, because I didn't co-sign for anyone's loan, and it's not right, it's not fair.
Mr. Walker, we're continuing with a follow-up for you now, Mr. Walker. College tuition, it skyrocketed 175% over the past 20 years. What will you do to stem the cost of higher education going forward?
Well, first
you have 30 seconds.
First of all, what you should do is get rid of federal funding of any college that raised their costs. Get rid of federal funding of any college that raised their costs. That's the first thing that you should do.
What?
So that is what you would do.
Yeah,
we're asking what you would do.
Well, any college that raised their costs, I get rid of any federal funding that they're going to get.
Thank you.
What? You know, I find it interesting that folks are offended
Senator Warnock,
yes.
I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you a pass for 15 seconds.
I will be very brief, I promise.
Very brief.
It's interesting to me that folks who have been crying about the student debt relief haven't said anything about multi-billionaire corporate entities who've gotten PPP loans. I wonder why Mr.
We're going to move on. We're moving on. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Warnock. Your time is up. Mr. Walker, we are moving on.
Yes,
we're going to move on to minimum wage, gentlemen. We have a lot to get through tonight. We've made that clear at the top of the hour. So let's get as many questions as we can in, because Georgia voters want to know where you stand on these issues. They have to make a decision. Let them know tonight. Buck?
Thank you, Tina. Now, according to the U.S. Census...
Real quick, let me know in the chat who's winning the debate so far.
The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, a number that has not increased since 2009. Let's do this by a simple showing of hands. Raise your hand if you support a federal minimum wage. Okay, Mr. Walker, you did not raise your hand, so I'd like to ask you, first of all, why not, and what would you do to help struggling Georgians?
Well, when you said a federal, I think right now, and he said that I want the federal government. No, he wants the federal government to run your life. Right now, I think you have to work with different corporations and see just where they can pay. There are some companies right now, and he should know this, after getting the All-Star game moved out of Atlanta, they destroyed a lot of small businesses.
Oh my God.
So those small businesses couldn't pay $15, $20 an hour.
Oh.
So they have to pay what they're capable of paying. So to mandate a federal fee that they have to pay hourly wage, no, I couldn't approve that.
What?
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you did not raise your hand, so why not, and what would you do to help struggling Georgians?
I believe in the dignity of work, and I believe in the dignity of workers. I watched my dad work really hard to take care of his family.
What's a federal fee?
Called essential workers. These folks are on the front line, stand up for us in the midst of the pandemic. We call them essential workers. They deserve an essential wage and essential benefits. In other words, workers deserve to participate in the prosperity that they are creating for others. And so I've been a part of this conversation around the minimum wage. I think people need a livable wage. And some of that is being addressed right now in this strong labor market. So I'm willing to work with folks in the corporate community as well as the labor community to figure out how we get to a good place. But there's no question, people deserve to participate in the prosperity that they're creating for others. They deserve a livable wage, and they deserve benefits.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. We're going to move to our next topic. Tina?
And that topic is crime and violence. In June, Congress passed the first bipartisan legislation to combat gun violence in 30 years. According to a Pew Research poll released in July, 78% of Americans think the new gun law will do little or nothing to reduce gun violence. Senator Warnock, I turn to you first. As the number of shootings in Georgia and across the nation continue to rise, what should be done? What should the next step be to solve this issue? You have to answer this question, sir, and I give you 1 minute.
I'm glad that we finally passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. And we did that on a bipartisan basis. I believe that this law will indeed save lives. And I'd like to see us work and see what we can achieve beyond that on a bipartisan basis. My heart goes out when I see the kinds of tragedies that we're witnessing all across our state, all across our country. And it's the reason why I have passed legislation to support law enforcement. I passed the largest investment in the COPS program in a decade. I introduced legislation called Invest to Protect that's endorsed by the sheriffs of Burke County and Scriven County because it supports some of our smaller law enforcement entities. So we got to stand up with law enforcement, but we've also got to create opportunity.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, we're posing the same question to you, sir. In 1 minute, what should the next step be to solve gun violence?
Well, first of all, any law or bill passed that will affect anyone's Second Amendment, I'm not going to stand for and I won't support. But third, to hear Senator Warnock talks about supporting law enforcement.
He went from Second Amendment to third, even though it was the first thing. Oh, that is a genius thing.
The name calling he's done, the morale is down, recruitment is down, only because of what he's done. He's empowered criminals to think they're better than the police. And because he believes in no cash bail, is releasing prisoners, he don't protect the border. Fentanyl is coming to this country and also into Atlanta. 70% of the drugs coming from the border goes to Atlanta, Georgia. And he talks about the police. I have more sheriffs that has endorsed me than anyone running in Georgia right now. And I even have some sheriffs here, and they've endorsed me because they know I have their back, they're gonna have my backs. So to listen to him say that after calling them name, I think
question was about gun violence.
Mr. Walker, thank you. I have a follow-up now.
No answer.
I think I ought to be able to respond to that.
I will give you the opportunity, 15 seconds to respond, Senator Warnock.
We will see time and time again tonight, as we've already seen, that my opponent has a problem with the truth. And just because he said something doesn't mean it's true. I have supported our police officers. I've called them and I've prayed with their families, like those officers lost in Cobb County when they were killed, doing what police officers routinely do. You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer.
Right.
And I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
Correct.
Well, and now I have to respond to that.
We are moving on,
I
gentlemen.
have to respond to that. And you know what's so funny? I am with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker, excuse me, Mr. Walker. Please, out of respect, I need to let you know, Mr. Walker, you are very well aware of the rules tonight.
Yes.
And you have a prop.
Yes.
That is not allowed, sir. I ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a prop. This is real. And he said, I have a problem. I never worked with law enforcement.
It is considered a prop, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
You're very well aware of the rules, aren't you?
Well,
Aren't you aware of the
he
rules?
brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question, and this is according to the CDC. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African American youth. Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, why do you believe this is happening? And what would you do to stop it?
Well, what I would do is hold people accountable, which is Senator Warnock not doing. Believing in no cash bail, no accountability, that is a problem. People must be accountable for their action. And the truth lies with Senator Warnock, because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia.
Not even an answer.
He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess we're in today, because he represents Joe Biden and not the truth for Georgia.
Senator Warnock, this follow-up for you. Same question. What do you believe homicides among African American youth is growing? Why are those homicides growing, sir? And how do we stop it?
Well, it's heartbreaking. And I've seen this up close as a pastor. I've presided over some of these funerals. I've met with young people. And we have to have rules and laws in the society, which I support and I've invested in as a legislator. At the same time, we have to create opportunity. There's no sickness like the loss of hope. When people lose hope, when they doubt that their life can be any longer or that they can dream of something bigger than the street they live on, a lot of things can happen. I grew up in one of those neighborhoods, but I had a nurturing family, and I benefited from good federal public policy, like the Head Start program, like Upward Bound, like Pell Grants and low-interest student loans, and to invest in our children.
Guys, I'm sorry. When they said that's a prop, and he said it's not a prop, it's real, that is just, it's an unbelievable moment.
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Senator
Kafka-esque.
You tweeted this. Unemployment benefits have expired, rent is due, and many Georgia families are at risk of eviction. My opponents are supposed to be serving the people in Washington, but they are clearly concerned with their own interests. Well, recent published reports talk about a property that your church owns, Columbia Towers at MLK Village in Atlanta. It's a home for the disadvantaged. At least a dozen lawsuits have been filed by residents evicted for not being able to pay their rent. Some of the outstanding balances are less than $30. As someone who receives more than $7,000 a month for a housing allowance from Ebenezer Baptist Church, how do you explain this to Georgia voters who are struggling currently to make ends meet?
Well, let me say that serving in the United States Senate and continuing to serve my church is the honor of my life. And it gives me a lens through which to do the work that I'm doing. But here's why you know I'm running against a desperate candidate. Anytime a candidate would stoop to the level of trying to sully the name, he and his allies, to sully the name of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church and John Lewis's church, you know that's a desperate candidate. Let me tell you about my church.
Uh-oh.
My church is a Matthew 25 church. We spend every week, every day feeding the hungry and the homeless. They know that those false charges that they've created are not true. We stand up for poor people every single day, and I ran for the Senate to do at a policy level what we do at a local level every single day. I'm not going to be distracted by him and his allies. My people know the truth. They know the work we do every single day, and I couldn't be prouder of them. Proud to represent the Senate and proud to serve Ebenezer Baptist Church.
So just to clarify, your position is that the allegations in these lawsuits are not true?
I am saying that it is very obvious that my opponent and his allies are busy trying to sully Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Oh, boy.
Now you see the problem with the truth.
Switching gears a little bit here, sir. Your ex-wife filed a lawsuit asking for increased child support.
Not good.
Saying that she had to pay for child care on days that your duties as a senator interfered with your parenting time, and citing significant increases in your income. In 30 seconds, what is your response to that lawsuit?
Listen, I went through a divorce, like a lot of people. And while that was a painful period, what came out of that was 2 amazing children that I just talked to before I came on this stage. And my children know that I am with them and for them, and that I support them in every single way that a father does.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Now to you, Mr. Walker. Recent ads have highlighted allegations of past domestic violence. They've raised questions about how transparent you've been as far as your resume. In 1 minute, how do you respond to voters who question your integrity, both personally and professionally?
First of all, I've been very transparent.
It's kind of a softball.
And I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I say I had a mental problem, and I'd be a champion for mental health, because so many people suffer from mental health. But to have people like Senator Warnock that demonize mental health, when I want to tell everyone out there, you can get help. Don't listen to Senator Warnock and his people. You can get help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. But the problem with the truth, you just saw it. You just saw it, because he won't answer that about evicting the people from the church. And I told him I will pay I'll pay their salary. You're evicting them right now.
We have not evicted. We have not evicted those
I didn't write the article.
I didn't
write the article. And most of the people out there steal my time.
I'm okay with the discussion. If we start talking over each other, we have to move forward.
We have not evicted the tenants.
Speak, Senator.
And he should take that money and pay it back to the veterans that he exploited while pretending to run a not-for-profit.
See, you can tell that he's not desperate, because if he had read in that thing, he would have saw that I had nothing to do with that. But he is so desperate right now, and he really wants that seat. He's now telling you, I didn't evict anyone. It is written in the paper. I didn't do this. Well, Senator, you did. And it's okay to speak the truth. Do not bear false witness, Senator. Do not bear false witness.
If it's true because it's in an article, then the abortion story about Walker is true, right?
For Senator Warnock, we need to move forward here. You have been very open about your struggles with mental illness, and you even wrote a book about your diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. We recently asked if you were still receiving treatment, and this is what you had to say.
No, that's all done, and you don't need to, and that's why I tell people. I think one thing I told people is I've been open about it.
You don't need treatment.
I was open about it, 14 years ago.
Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, can you clarify this? Are you saying you no longer have dissociative identity disorder, or is this something that you continue to this day to manage?
No, you don't have to have treatment for it. And I encourage people to continue to talk to people. I talk to my pastors. I talk to my pastors, and I continue to get help if I need help. But I don't need any help. I'm doing well.
So
but
you
that's
do get
the
it, or
reason
you
why
don't?
I tell anyone out there that is suffering from any type of mental illness, you can get help. All you got to do is ask. And I will always be a champion for mental health.
And just to clarify, how can Georgia voters, though, be assured that this will not impact your ability to lead if elected?
Because I'm ready to lead today. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters, whereas Senator Warnock has voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters today.
Open and shut.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to our next topic. Tina?
And that topic, gentlemen, is health insurance. Georgia is one of 12 states that have not accepted federal funding to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. Mr. Walker, with more than 1.5 million Georgians uninsured, in 1 minute, Is it time for the federal government to step in to ensure all Georgians have access to health care?
Well, right now, people have coverage for health care. It's according to what type of coverage do you want.
No.
Because if you have
That's
an
not true.
able-bodied job, you're going to have health care. But everyone else have health care is the type of health care you're going to get.
That's
And
untrue.
I think that is the problem. And what Senator Warnock wants you to do is depend on the government. What I want you to do is get off the government health care and get on the health care he's got to get you a better health care. So that's what I'm trying to do, to make you independent rather than dependent.
It's untrue and insane.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you have 1 minute. You've vowed to close the Medicaid gap by expanding access coverage in the Affordable Care Act marketplace.
Is Warnock getting more difficult questions?
The national debt already at an all-time high. Where is this money coming from? You have 60 seconds, sir.
This is not a theoretical issue for me. When I think about healthcare, I think about Lori Davis, a trauma nurse in Covington, Georgia, who spent her career taking care of people. And then she got sick and she had to give up that job. And as she got sicker and sicker, she found herself without health care. She was one of the 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. She died for lack of health care. And so I ran saying that I would fight to expand Medicaid. Georgia needs to expand Medicaid. It costs us more not to expand. What we're doing right now is we're subsidizing health care in other states. Meanwhile, we've seen 10 hospitals in this state close, 10. And the Atlanta Medical Center, right down the street from my church, where I visit my members, has announced that it's going to close. And so Georgia needs a senator who believes, like I do, that health care is a human right. And I will continue to fight until the working class people, by the way, the folks who don't have health care, they work every single day. The folks who are in the gap,
and I believe in that
the folks, let me finish. The folks who are in the gap, the folks who are in the gap are the working poor.
We are moving on, Senator Warnock.
I believe in health care, but he didn't mention that he
Mr.
got,
Walker, if I can get your attention, please. In just a few weeks, WellStar will close its doors. This is Atlanta Medical Center, which primarily serves patients in lower income and minority communities. Hospitals nationwide are dealing with nursing shortages, doctor shortages in the wake of the pandemic. Mr. Walker, what measures can Congress enact to ensure everyone has access to hospitals and doctors? You have 30 seconds, sir.
Well, first of all, Senator Warnock was correct that he believed in working with people, but he didn't do it because Governor Kemp has a plan that would have been a very good plan. But he stood back while Biden destroyed the plan. What? And he's talking about he believes in the extension of
Governor,
he stood
Senator?
back. Well, what the people can be assured of is I'm willing to meet with hospital administrators, meet with people rather than writing a letter, because Senator Warnock waited till they made the decision and wrote a letter. Oh. And I said they don't need a pen payout, they need solutions.
Wow. We are moving on now, Senator Warnock. That same question to you, sir. What measures can Congress enact to ensure everyone has access to hospitals and doctors? You have 30 seconds.
Well, clearly he doesn't have a solution.
He said I'll meet with administrators. That's a solution.
He said
you didn't do that.
His solution is to meet. My solution is to pass legislation, which I've done. I got $4 billion in the American Rescue Plan to help the non-expansion states to do what they should have done to expand. They left that money on the table. Georgia left 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. And so I'm going to keep standing up because people are literally dying for lack of health care. Dr. King said that of all the injustices, inequality in health care is the most shocking and the most inhumane. I agree with Dr. King.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Buck, now the next topic.
Thank you, Tina. We're going to talk about foreign policy now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to use nuclear weapons in the conflict with Ukraine, prompting President Biden to claim that we are on the verge of Armageddon. Senator Warnock, if nuclear weapons are used, how should the United States respond? You have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that we are standing up to Putin's aggression. And we have to continue to stand up, which is why I stood up to the Biden administration when it suggested that we should close the Savannah Combat Readiness Training Center. I told the president that was the exact wrong thing to do at the exact wrong time. And I'm glad that I was able to stand up with Congressman Buddy Carter and others, and we kept that training center open. I've seen up close what those service members do. They are the tip of the spear, and we have to make sure that our service members know that we have their back. We have to strengthen our allies and the NATO alliance as we've done, and make sure we stand up to Russian aggression. Nothing could be more important.
Mr. Walker, the same question to you. If nuclear weapons are used, how should the U.S. respond? You have 60
Well, first of all, he talked about standing up. You didn't stand up to Chuck Schumer when you could have got a helicopter company here of almost $1 billion. You let it go to New York. You didn't stand up then. You didn't stand up to Biden when he left American people and had 13 military soldiers killed in Afghanistan. You didn't stand up then. So what we can do is Putin is a bully. And the way you beat a bully, you show strength. Well, Senator Warnock said he stood up. He not stood up to Biden. If he was standing up, he wouldn't have voted with him 96% of the time, which gave us an open border, which gave us high inflation, which gave us crime in the streets. And he talking about standing up. He didn't stand up. He have laid down every time it came around, and you know that, Senator.
It is evident that he has a point that he tries to make time and time again. I've stood up to the Biden administration so that they could keep open this Combat Training Readiness Center, stood with our congressional delegation to do that. I've worked across the aisle time and time to get good things done for the people of Georgia. I worked with a senator from Texas to build out I-14. I worked with a Republican senator from Alabama to help Georgia farmers get their products to market. I will work with anyone and stand up against anybody I need to stand up against to get good things done for Georgia. I work for the people of Georgia.
We need to move forward to our next topic, gentlemen. Our time is running short. Both of you have strong backing from your respective parties. Senator Warnock, a simple yes or no here. You will have a chance to explain, but I'd like a simple yes or no. Would you support President Biden running for a second term in 2024?
I've not spent a minute thinking about what politicians should run for what in 2024.
Is that a yes or a no?
The answer is I have not. And maybe this is difficult. Maybe this is difficult for people to understand because that's how politicians think. I think that part of the problem with our politics right now is that it's become too much about the politicians. You're asking me who's going to run in 24? The people of Georgia get to decide who's going to be their senator in 3 days, Monday. And I hope they'll show up and vote. And I'd be honored to represent them in the Senate.
You haven't thought about it. If you can think about it now, in 2024, the president will turn 82 years old.
Oh, my God.
Are you concerned about his physical and his mental fitness at that time? You have 30 seconds.
The people of Georgia hired me to represent them regardless of who's in the White House. I'm honored to do that job every single day. My dad said if somebody hires you to do a job, do the job they hired you to do. They didn't hire me to be a pundit.
Oh, God.
And I'm working every single day for hardworking families in Georgia, for our women, for our workers.
How is Biden cognitive decline a topic in the Georgia Senate debate?
Mr. Walker, former President Trump is also considering a run for the White House in 2024. If you can give me a simple yes or no answer, and we'll give you time to explain as well. Would you support a Trump 2024 run?
Yes, I would. And let me tell you, President Trump is my friend. Has nothing to do with that. He's my friend.
How is that relevant?
Leave my allies, which is what Senator Warnock and Joe Biden did in Afghanistan. They left their allies. They left their allies, and right now on a foreign stage, a lot of these people don't trust us no more. They don't trust us to be strong anymore. So they're waiting to see who's going to stand up, who's going to trust. And they have no one to trust right now because I said President Trump is my friend, and he won't stand up with Biden when yet he's voted with him 96% of the time. Let's be real.
Mr. Walker, are you concerned about the ongoing legal investigations around the country and including here in Georgia? You have 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, I would hope that Senator Warnock, he and myself being people of color, would want the scales of justice to not have a hand on it. We want the Lady Justice to be blind, but in this instance here, Lady Justice is not blind. And I said right now, with everything that is going on, what I like to do is get to what's important. What's important is protecting the border. What's important is protecting people on the street. What's important is getting this inflation down, not what's going on there in Washington, talking about whether President Trump is guilty or not guilty. What I want to do is see due process, which is what I hope Senator Warnock and myself would love to see.
Changing topics now, we're going to move forward just to give you guys both an update that you may want to know, although the news is not great if you're a Braves fan. Right now, they're in the top of the ninth inning, Game 3, National League Division Series, down 9-1 to the Phillies. Not a great night for the Braves. Just a few weeks ago, the World Series champs, though, they did visit the White House. Their visit sparked a renewed debate about the team's name and their signature tomahawk chop. Mr. Walker, do you believe the Braves should rethink their name, their logo, or their signature cheer? You have 30 seconds.
Not at all. You know, right now, we have too many other things to be concerned about. We have people dying on the streets in Atlanta, around the country. We have people living paycheck to paycheck, can't afford food to put on their table, can't afford gas. We have Putin out there. We have China out there. We can't be concerned about whether the Braves are going to change their name. We need to be concerned about saving this country. We need to be concerned about saving the Georgia people. We need to be concerned about giving people a right to live the liberties and freedoms that the Constitution of the United States guarantees them to have.
Senator Warnock, the same question to you.
What was the question?
In regards to the Braves, do you think they should rethink their name, their logo, or their signature cheer?
Well, first of all, I'm praying for the Braves right about now. They've got a ways to go here. Listen, the management of the Braves is meeting with our tribes, and they're having a conversation about this. And I know the folks over at the Braves organization, and I trust that they and the tribes that they're talking to will come to a place that makes sense for all involved.
Senator Warnock, we're going to go ahead and continue. We want to get a few more questions in tonight. Senator Warnock, some of your Senate colleagues have called for expanding the number of seats on the Supreme Court. In 15 seconds, quickly, sir, would you support this?
What I support.
Expanding
listen,
the seats on the Supreme Court.
I think that my job as a senator is to protect the rights of ordinary citizens. And for the first time, perhaps in my lifetime, we've seen those rights contract rather than expand, whether we're talking about the reproductive rights of women or voting rights. And I'm going to do everything I can to protect the rights of the citizens of Georgia.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Mr. Walker, would you support expanding the number of seats on the Supreme Court? In 15 seconds, sir.
Yes, when you get in Washington, you have to become a leader. Being a leader, you have to make tough decisions. And you see on that answer there, he really didn't give you an answer. So my answer is no. Oh, okay. I wouldn't know.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now we have reached the point for final moments of this debate, a chance for your closing remarks. You have 60 seconds.
Each have 60 seconds to answer, and Senator Warnock, you have the floor first.
Well, thank you so very much, Georgia. It's wonderful to be here. Listen, in this state, we have nearly 11 million people, and only 2 people get to represent us in the United States Senate, just 2. And when I think about that, it is an awesome responsibility, one that humbles me and inspires me to work as hard as I can for hardworking families every single day. And I've worked with Democrats and Republicans in order to do that work. These are difficult times. These are dark times. But the scripture says that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcometh it not. I'm honored to represent you in the Senate. I hope that you'll show up to vote early, beginning Monday. I'd be honored to have your vote. God bless you. Keep the faith.
Mr. Walker, your turn for closing statements, and you have 60 seconds as well.
For those of you who are concerned about voting for me, a non-politician, I want you to think about the damage politicians like Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock have done to this country. I want you to think about Raphael Warnock, what he said today. And I said he was going to try to give you some smooth talk and tell you what's happening. What's happening is this country is hurting. What's happening is we need leaders. So what I want to say to you, Senator Warnock, is I want to thank you. I want to thank you for this. But at the same time, I want to say Georgia needs leaders. They need leaders that's going to stand up for them. So let's think about if we give Senator Warnock 6 more years, think of what this country will become. I'm not sure we can make up for that.
Gentlemen,
so
thank you.
I said vote for Herschel Walker.
Thank you both, gentlemen. That's going to conclude our debate for this evening. Before we leave tonight, though, we want to remind voters that early voting begins in Georgia on Monday. It will run through November 4th. Election Day is November 8th.
Candidates, thank you. And we, of course, want to thank Plant Riverside.
So listen, Walker is a disaster. I mean, painfully disastrous. Warnock is not the strongest candidate. And there were some very clear questions here where Warnock did not seem particularly prepared. But Walker is really a disaster. I mean, it's like Warnock's just kind of like an okay candidate. If Walker were to win, it's sort of like a global humiliation for the United States. And the moderators could not have been worse. This was one of the worst moderated debates. Like Warnock did mediocre. Walker is an unmitigated disaster. The moderation was terrible. And I mean, it's just stunning stuff. Let's see what the polling looks like in a few days and whether this moves it. As of right now, Warnock plus 3.3. Georgia's a runoff state. So if indeed on November 8th, it's 48-45 with the rest of the vote going elsewhere, there will be a runoff, and that would not be particularly good for Raphael Warnock. So this is going to be a fight. That is for damn sure. Thank you to S. Prez for 9 gifted memberships, dumping us in right at 100, exactly where we needed it to be. I appreciate everybody who joined me. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and following on Twitch and liked on YouTube so that when we do the next debate, which might be Marco Rubio, which is not going to be one you want to miss, you'll be notified. Appreciate everybody joining me. What an incredible, incredible day.
Are you looking for a place to watch some news where people don't yell while wearing suits? I know of a guy who fits that bill, a progressive with political will. Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best in town.
Who's the current president of the United States?
Who's the current president? Well, I guess it's a funny question.
Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best in town.
Well, you tell me, I mean, is there a president right now, I guess?
Well, I'd rather not answer that. How's that?
Watch David Pakman Show, see your political knowledge grow. Sign up for a membership now for the bonus show that's best.
I've been growing this one huge pepper all summer. It's time to pluck it.
Sign up for a membership now for the bonus